You're listening to Season 3, Episode number 5 of the Indie Film Tribe podcast with me, your host, Angela Matamocha. Welcome. Hi there, good people. Hi. Angela Matamocha here of Indie Film Tribe. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I have a very special and different sort of guest on. This is a man who is an Indian man, I should say, who grew up in China. However, he spent most of his life here in the U.S. He has been a storyteller for some of the world's largest brands, and his team was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards when he was working in the Silicon Valley at one of the world's largest tech companies. Silicon Valley, actually. Now, and this is why I have him on the show today, now he is the co-founder of Intent Wave. And this is a company where he's building artificial intelligence that can sense emotions and mind conferences. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And one of the reasons that I thought it would be so valuable to have him on our show today, because us as artists, as actors, as writers, directors, our work is all about emotions, right? Our work is all about feeling emotions, expressing emotions. If you're a director, you're manipulating an audience's emotions. So I am just so excited to really just get down to the real nitty gritty. Today, we're going to talk about the science of emotions and empathy. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Saurabh Katari. Welcome, Saurabh.
Thank you, Angela. Wow, my name has never sounded more important. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. I've got to say, this is just so interesting, especially as you know, there's so much talk right now, both positive and negative, about what we're able to do with artificial intelligence, right? Some people, as you know, are terrified of it, while others embrace it. What are your thoughts about that? Just as a starting off point, just curious.
So, this is actually one of the reasons that we finally went ahead and did what we're doing, and what we'll get into in more detail a little later is timing, Angela, is that we're seeing, and I think this really applies to everyone. It really doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from. We're seeing just this incredible amount of stress that people are feeling, and the media, while it has never been more creative in our storytelling across all mediums, is putting so much pressure on all of us.
Yes.
So this is why, I kind of stepped out of my corporate career after 25 years, is because we finally have the tech to help ourselves with tech and media, as opposed to technology that has always only ever served like big companies. Now it can actually help the regular person, and that's why I'm excited about it. I'm obviously very much pro artificial intelligence, but when it's in service of the regular person.
Ah, I love that. When it's in service of the regular person. That's interesting. After you left your corporate world, did you know you were going to head in this sort of direction? Or was it a complete like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now?
So it's really interesting. Just about every opportunity, including the most important, which is my marriage, my wife, every opportunity in my life has found me. I think if I have any skill, Angela, it's to be able to convince extraordinary people that they should keep me around.
Oh, that's great.
I do not have any extraordinary skills of my own. I'm not creative, right? I'm not very powerful or talented, but these opportunities keep finding me. So I knew that it was time about 15 months ago, when first news was coming out about the Apple Watch 4 and that Apple would reinvent healthcare. And so I knew I was in Silicon Valley. I knew a lot of people in tech, and specifically at Apple. And I said, you know what? This is it. This is the first device, and this will lead an entire change of what a person can learn about themselves, and where the data can stay with the person, but only if we can do this with empathy.
With empathy. Okay, and that's the part that really strikes me because, my audience, we're a very empathetic audience because we are storytellers. And I do believe in order to tell good stories, you have to be a wonderful observer, first of all, right? Observe what's going on in the universe, what's going on around you, and be able to sort of take in and feel something for the things that we're observing. So this component of empathy is very interesting to me. Tell us more
So
about that.
I'm going to intersect this, and I think
Okay.
you're right. I think I might be very different than some of the really creative people you've had before.
Yes, which is why it's so exciting to have you.
Because I'm so data centric. I'm such a nerd, compared to your really like beautiful people. But this is exactly where technology has always been my friend, and specifically data. So
Okay.
other than love, other than real love,
Yes.
I've never found anything more powerful than data. And what I mean by that is that every place I've worked, my team has had to work harder, Angela, and they've had to work smarter so that we had better data than anyone else as storytellers. And you don't normally hear storytellers talk about data, but here's what it could do for us. Okay? If we had more data, more truth about the audience, truth, not opinions, who they actually are versus who maybe our brand thinks they are or wants to think they are, right? If we actually know who the audience is, then we can actually do things that are almost radical, but they'll be extremely successful. And also, we have more options. We can throw things away if they're not working. So I'm going to give you one very specific example, okay? And I think storytellers would appreciate this because it's such a juxtaposition of corporate big brand with small personal storytelling. So we had to create a video, just one video story, for the world's largest networking company. So I already lost everybody. They're like, oh, okay. But this company sells $30 billion worth of technology a year through its partners. So my team's job was to tell the role of these partners. You can't tell the role of one of these partners. They're in every country in every world because
Oh,
everyone
wow.
needs the internet.
Yes.
So what did we do? What we did is we presented a story without executives, without products. What we had was an 8-year-old African American girl telling her class what her dad did, what his job was.
Brilliant.
Obviously, his job was to be a partner to the company, to the
Yeah.
brand.
Excellent.
She is explaining, right, in her third grade class, why these partners are so important, how they change the world, because she could care less about money.
Right. Of course. She's
She the
8.
importance of what her dad does. So that's the kind of thing that data allowed us to do is that, hey, our customers actually almost all of them have children like this. All of them feel like they want to be doing important work. This is how we represent our partners in a way that they'll remember.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so this is very interesting. It makes me think of, and maybe because I'm in this right now, um, how do you sort of, the first thing that pops in my mind, because you're talking about short video clips, so naturally I'm thinking about trailers for movies, right? Because in a trailer, you're telling a story in a very condensed amount of time. Where this 8-year-old video is kind of telling it's the trailer for your prospects, right?
Mhm.
So, as a filmmaker or a storyteller, and you have, a project, how could you relay sort of that information that you just gathered after doing the data to find out this is what the people wanted? How could we as filmmakers do that with our audiences or in finding out who our audiences are so we can create a trailer story that will appeal to them?
Okay, so we're gonna break this down, and it's all gonna sound very business-like. So you might
Great.
want to take a shower after I'm done with this answer.
No, this is
Okay,
great.
but this works. Okay, this reaches the most audiences, and it gets you the most clicks. So first of all, we're gonna do everything backwards. We're gonna design the trailer from where it ends. Okay, we're also going to go look at the target audience, not from the most number of people that are of a certain gender or ethnicity or income or geography. We're going to look at the target audience that's most influential to reach that larger audience. Who do
Interesting.
we need? Yes, who do we need to like the trailer to share it as opposed to like it to watch it?
Uh huh.
So I told you this is all business. We're going back.
This is great. No, this is great.
Right? So now we've targeted the people that need to remember this trailer. They'll remember only the end of the trailer, because that's all anyone remembers in the video will just be the end of it. They'll forget most of the beginning. Okay? And then where are you going to end? What is the scene? What is the message? If you have a sort of tagline for your movie or your killer, character, your defining line, then that's where your trailer is ending. Now we're working backwards, because that obviously can't be the resolution. You don't want to show the whole movie in a trailer,
Of course.
A lot of studios are doing.
Well, I can't. Yeah. Yes, I know.
So
yes.
So where is that moment? Where is that moment right before the natural question is, well, what is she going to do about that? Right? Where we're going to end, so that you want to go watch it now to find out. Then we now know what situation she's in, what problem she has to solve. Now let's walk backwards. Why is that problem important to her, which you've obviously filmed? And then ultimately, where are we going to start? Do we have a glimpse of her life before the problem? Or is the problem on an epic scale? Are you talking about social injustice? Then do you have scenes that lay that out in literally 3-second cuts, right? So now in 9 to 12 seconds, I've established the atmosphere. Everyone knows what's coming. Boom, I established the character. Now she's in it. We believe she might be able to solve it. Want to find out how? Just watch the movie.
Interesting. That's interesting that you are starting with the end of the story in mind, the last clip, because the person viewing, the viewer, is only going to remember the last couple of seconds.
That's right.
So with that, though, because in storytelling, we're always told, as screenwriters, that opening moment, that opening scene is the most important. So this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's the difference. You see, is you're trained as screenwriters and filmmakers to deliver to the captive audience in the theater. There's no such thing as a captive audience anymore, not even in theaters, right? The only audience you really are designing for is the small screen, is the person's cell phone, right? Their smartphone, even in the theater. That's a reality, people.
It is.
So you don't have that captive audience where if you wow them with the opening scene, they'll commit to 90 minutes of their life. They won't, right? So, and in a trailer, you don't have a captive audience at all. They know it's an ad. So they're already starting, right, jaded. So don't lose your magic in the beginning, because everyone's used to seeing trailers that start strong and then get terrible, right? Put your second best scene in the opening of the trailer. Put your story in the middle. Put your best scene at the end.
Because that's what the audience is going to leave with.
And that's different from what people do in trailers. They end on this up expectation of, wow, I didn't see that coming. Huh.
This is so interesting. So I just have to ask you, what is it? Because clearly you know so much about both worlds. What do you like most about being a tech person and a storyteller? Because it seems like the two worlds are very just like this. I'm putting my fingers together for those listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Are intertwined. They're intertwined, right?
They're intertwined. Okay, so again, if I go back to the data, I'm going to throw in here, and you'll have to forgive me because I often have to explain what it is we're doing because it's just so different, right? So coming back to essentially, I think I can do this in about a minute. I think I can explain to the audience how we get from data, which seems so dry, right, and so boring, to something so idealistic as empathy.
Great, okay? Go for it.
Okay, because that is the bridge.
That's
the bridge I live on between technology and storytelling.
Love it.
Okay, so really simply, we're building artificial intelligence that can sense human emotions through wearables, like an Apple Watch, right? Or any other wearable, really. It really doesn't matter. Apple, Android, it doesn't matter. The goal, however, is not to create a billion-dollar tech company. The goal is the same today as it will be 3 years from now, which is to create digital empathy. And stay with me for a second. If you can map human emotions with a high degree of accuracy, you can reflect back to each person their own personality, their own natural emotions, their own behavioral patterns.
Okay, pause. Hold on. Let's go back real quick. I want to go along with you. So we've got a wearable device that can track my emotions. So I can look at it,
Yep.
and see where I'm at. However, you just mentioned another person and reflecting back. Am I also picking up their emotions or just
No, no, no,
mine?
no, no. It's your own emotions. So this is what's really different, right? Is that most of the data that we tend to look at is always about other people.
Yes.
But with all due respect, especially for the LGBTQ community, especially for women and minority, right? Pardon me saying this, but screw other people. What about us, right? This is the difference. When you have something that's actually built from your own natural patterns that represents you, your personality back to you, then what you can do is you can compare yourself to yourself. So you're no longer working with data that was collected on middle-aged white men or a straight woman. All the data that's being analyzed is yours. It's your decisions. It's where you went. It's what you did. It's what your stress is, what your pain is. And ultimately, Angela, this is the part that really makes a difference. This is where it's no longer tech. When you know a person's personality, you know what's bothering them, you can offer them personalized advice. And this is the part I'm most excited about. We've been connecting with the world's leading psychologists and neuroscientists. They're in. They want to do this because they want to provide this sort of like less than a minute long advice to the person that's now tailor made for them. But I'm going to go back to data for a second.
Please.
So you can understand your emotions, you can understand your personality, and it's not on some sort of scale or grid. It's just you. And now you've got an expert saying, based on what happened today and based on what you like to do, here's a really small thing you could do right now or tomorrow morning, and tomorrow will go much better. I'm not saying this because I stand on a stage and tell 70,000 people the same thing. I'm saying this because I've seen patients like you, normal people like you, and I know this works, right, over the course of my lifetime in therapy. So anyway, so that's what the product does. But here's what the data does. This is what's really fascinating. When you actually look at emotional data, it's extremely powerful because emotions have no color.
Right.
Emotions have no color. They have no gender. You can see people that look different, that sound different, that act differently, yet they're all feeling exactly the same thing. So from a data perspective, it's completely liberating because you've just proven that bias doesn't exist, that it's wrong in every form. When you can actually represent an individual and you can reflect it back to them, they can see themselves for who they are without any filter from society of who they're supposed to be or how other people view them.
Wow, this is interesting, fascinating. Wow. Okay, so as an example, I'm wearing my device.
Yes.
And I just went on a walk jog and I come back, I check in. I think I'm feeling great. But maybe on this walk jog, I was trying to figure out some stuff that's bothering me today at work, but I go on this jog so I feel better. So I come back, I'm feeling great, and I look at my device. Is it going to tell me I'm feeling great if my mind and emotions were perhaps elsewhere? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. So it's going to do three things, right? And then we'll get off the technology, right?
No, I love it.
So it's going to do three things. And the important thing also is when you look at this data, so I should actually also point out, in case people are wondering, like, dude, how can you know so much about us? Like, are you tapping our phones? Like,
Yeah.
So all the data comes from the user. It's all private. So this is really important to mention because otherwise you can never help somebody if you don't allow them to really trust you and importantly trust yourself. So we never own, share, or sell the emotional or behavioral data. When a user removes the app, the data is sent to them and then the data is actually erased because it was never ours to begin with. So this is a big difference in how you're designing a tech company. But this is what I mean by digital empathy. If the data is entirely the person's, then we can see three things about that walk that you just described. Okay? First of all, Angela's going on a walk. She likes to go on walks, right? Generally, when she goes on walks, what does she do? She thinks. And when she's thinking, the ideal state of thinking is something called the default mode network, DMN, in psychology. This is more powerful than being in the zone like an athlete. This is actually your mind being at rest. And when you're at rest, your creativity, your ability to see beyond, it's just through the roof, right? This is where breakthroughs happen, actually.
All the time.
Yeah, most inventors or artists, they have to go to sleep to make this happen. And then as soon as they wake up, they've got like 5 to 7 minutes where if they get that thought down that they're thinking, that's their DMN. So we would be looking, if you're trying to jog your creative process, literally jog your creative process.
Yeah.
So first of all, is her biometrics where it would be based on when she activates her DMN, right? Now, if it's not, the heart don't lie.
Right.
Right? So we'll know that she's off. But there's also certain patterns, and this is going into cardiology.
Wow.
There's certain patterns that if you're not able to achieve the drop, right, that we're expecting in your heart rate and the sort of rhythmical motion, if you maintain an elevated heart rate and it maintains a sort of stressed view, then we know what you're doing. You're walking, you're trying, but because you're trying, Angela, you're not going to get there. 2 things you can do about that. 1, we can try to help the user with why are they trying? What's actually lingering on their mind?
Right.
Resolve that first. The difference with when you do it on a smartphone or a wearable is you can tell the person right then. You can save the opportunity right then. This seems like it's going to be a good walk.
Right.
I'd like you to do something really simple for 15 seconds in your head. Do this, and it'll release, it'll flush out, it'll exhale what's bothering you. If I can get you in time, I can save that walk. I can actually allow you to get closer to DMN. If I can get you in time, the least I can do is the data will tell me here's why. Angela, I don't think you had the experience you were hoping for. But next time, all you have to do is this, and you'll be golden.
These moments of next time, all you have to do is this. Who's telling me this in my device? Where does that come from?
So it's not, this is the other big difference. Since we're building an entire company around empathy, right, and everybody partnering with us is doing this for one reason, which is for the person, the user, the advice is coming from the 10,000 word books that these best-selling authors and psychologists and neuroscientists and therapists have written. But what we've done is we've condensed from their books these like 45-second recordings from them.
Oh, wow.
Because it's not just they know what you have to do, they know how to tell people.
Right, because that's their expertise.
Correct. And if it doesn't work, the AI tells me that it didn't work. So instead of using that male therapist, use this female therapist. Right? We never give up on you. That's digital empathy.
Interesting.
Gives up on the user. We have a lot of options to try to get through to the person to make that change.
So you make this change. The next day I go on a walk and I get the little command, try this time. I try it and it does work. How do you know it works? Do I check in? Do I say so? Or is it automatically tagging how I'm feeling and whatnot?
This is, I think you're going to love this because it's a really strange answer. Before I tell you how I know it works, how do you know it worked?
I don't know.
If it did work and you did get the creativity or the answer you were seeking, after your walk, what would you do?
I would feel better. I would feel good, right? So I would know it worked because I would feel good.
You would feel good. And this is the part most people don't realize. We're incredibly habitual as people.
Yes.
Our lives seem random to us, but when you look at the data, they're not random at all. As soon as you come out of that walk and you are feeling better, you think you're sitting down back at your computer to write your next scene, and you think you're doing nothing different, but you are. And I know you are, and therefore I know it worked.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying. We've never used data at the individual level, even though we can. This is why for creativity, right? This is now opening a whole new avenue for us of, well, what really works for you? Because you probably read tons of books on writer's block.
Right. Which I don't think really exists. That's my personal opinion.
Right? There you go, right? And so this is what other people have done. And again, if you're a certain type of person, the other people that have done it may be nothing like you.
Right. Right. That's so true.
So you get frustrated. Nobody gets me. Oh, I'll just suffer with this forever. That's nonsense.
Right. Right.
There you go. So that's how the tech essentially works. It works person by person. But of course, as a company, the better we understand each person, the more powerful and incredible the tech gets. And obviously, it's really easy to market it then. So
this is just so interesting because, again, as a creative person, most of us are very tuned in to our emotions, right? Because that's our job. We have to be. As an actor, I need to know where I can go emotionally, mentally to get to a certain place, whether it's, hysteria or laughter. So I wonder, how can I use this specifically if I, let's say, know I have to, be on set? Is there a way I can gauge, like, okay, yes, this is telling me I am where I need to be, or can I use this device to help me get to an emotional state? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So a few things will emerge very quickly. Essentially, almost in 72 hours will emerge because, again, the data is not just yours. The data is compared to a lot of people like you. So within 3 days, right, we'll be able to establish essentially where do you perform best, how do you do best, and where are other people demanding you perform but you won't. Now we never tell anybody this, right? It's kind of like the 9:30 meeting with the director, which you're obviously taking, right? But actually, you're not going to be your best at 9:30 at that meeting, right? Now, some of these things you can't control, Angela, right? You have to be there,
right,
to do whatever it is people want.
Right.
But if you know, first of all, when you are at your best, you can start to change things that are in your control so that you deliver them at that time. The second thing you can do is if you know that something's coming up that's important, it normally takes less than 1 minute to get there as far as mental preparation.
Really? Less than 1 minute?
I'll give you an example that's even less than that. And this is under extreme stress.
Great. Right? We as artists are under extreme stress all the time.
Right? And you're being judged.
All the time.
Real time, someone's making eye contact with you. You're in a creative meeting, right? And you're sitting across the table, and the person they don't realize it. Their personality is such that they don't realize it, but they're actually insulting you on an emotional level, okay? So what do? There's a bunch of different psychological tactics, but I'm going to use one that comes more from neurology, right, and brain health. So one thing you can do is that you can actually exhale a certain amount of seconds, right? And if you do it in a certain sequence, it'll bring your heart rate down, which makes you more rational. The problem with that is the person will sense that you're taking these long breaths, right? Which you can't do, because then you're telling the person, hey, I'm freaking out, I need to calm myself. And if it's the kind of person that doesn't care, they're like, what's going on? Like, can you not take feedback? So here's another one. This is a good example, because the experts are very varied. You're going to like this. So the situation is that you're totally stressed. You don't want to show it, but you need to keep your cool, because if you can explain to this person the right approach, they will actually trust you. You just have to break through your own frustration with them, almost your anger, right? So your hands are under the table, and you tap your knee, your left and right knee, just tapping back and forth, and you slowly tap slower. And in less than 30 seconds, you've actually calmed yourself down without showing anything different. I'm doing it right now.
Oh, wow.
And the reason for this, and this is what I'm saying, is these things seem like, what are you talking about? That seems so simple.
It's mind-body connection, too.
That's it. It fires both your hemispheres. The blood has to leave your amygdala to get into your cerebral part of your brain. As the blood leaves the amygdala, your primal emotional, right, fight or flight sense is diminished, and you can actually tell your brain, even though you're actively very upset, right? Now, how am I going to explain this to this guy? Okay, I'm going to explain this to this guy, and your taps will themselves slow down. Okay, you know what? I hear what you're saying.
You go, yeah.
You've done that, right? So So this is what I'm saying is that when you start to understand people on a one-to-one level, you can pre-program it so that when it sees that spike in your emotion,
Yes.
do something without revealing to other people. That can be like three little buzzes, and you know the three buzzes are, Saurabh, do the knee taps.
Uh-huh. They're like sort of emotional reminders.
Correct. To whatever works for you,
Right.
because you're not available to take expert advice at that moment. And normally under stress or in anger,
Yeah.
you're not mentally available.
Right, right. Because our adrenaline is pumping, all kinds of stuff is happening. Yeah.
Okay. So
Wow.
So
Wow.
I do need to preface this, right? Because a
Yes.
lot of folks listening or watching or reading are going to be saying, whoa, like this stuff is real. So we actually decided to do something which you mentioned in the beginning, which is atypical. If we truly are trying to help people see themselves
Mm-hmm.
and truly go back to just being themselves again,
Yes. Yes.
then you can't just build a tech and become famous for this app. You have to actually reach people in person. So that's why we created Mind Conferences.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is a perfect segue. So this mind conferences, this is all through your company, right?
Correct.
And Wave and Intent, tell me the name.
Intent Wave. Yeah,
Intent,
that's the tech company. Yep.
Intent Wave. Okay, so Intent Wave is creating this app, and Intent Wave is also having these mind conferences.
That's correct.
What happens at these mind conferences?
So for most people, right, the ability to actually understand what is happening with them and the ability to take that first step, because you're going to need a lot more than the first step. If anybody tells you do this one thing and tomorrow your life will change, right? Ask for your money back now, right? Ask for it back now, okay? Get the refund while it's still available. So what we're doing with Mind Conference is I'm taking the same experts that would be available in the app for that personalized expertise, and we're taking those experts and we're basically putting them on stage so they can connect directly with people as the technology is rolling out, because we're being tested in universities across the country.
Excellent.
Right? And we have the app available, but it takes some time for the business to grow.
Yeah. Is it a beta? It's in beta right now?
That's right. You
Yeah.
can get it on the App Store, but my point is as it's rolling out and as our people are getting more familiar with it, and I mean this helps to get the word out. The Mind Conferences allows us to actually reach people in all the major cities. Our first event in LA is on March 23rd, so it's coming up really soon.
Oh, excellent. March 23rd. Okay.
They're always on a Saturday, and I think you'll even like the design of the event because we thought long and hard about this. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. So the science, because this is all scientific, right? The science is being delivered in TED-like stories. They're all short sessions.
Great.
And then there's a ton of time after each session for the audience to reverse the equation and ask questions. Especially, wait a second, how would that work for me? I do A, B, and C. Okay, let's look at your example, right? And so you're able to actually connect. The thing about our experts, Angela, is they don't actually get to connect with the average person anymore. They're asked to speak at all these big events. They do their thing on stage, and then they're hurried away backstage, and then they just go away. But they do what they do to help people. So that's why they want to do this at the events, because they get 30 or more minutes to help the audience in open Q&A. We don't record that part because people can talk about whatever they want, right? But that's the design. And so there's always this time between each session for a person to sort of absorb and sort of take note of, all right, this is what I learned, and this is how I'm going to use it. There's 7 experts at each event. And another thing you'll like about this is that all the events are on Saturdays.
Right.
We price them so that anybody can come. You don't need to have a wearable. You don't need to know AI. You just want to get your mind back. Honestly, you want control over your own mind. And in every city that we're doing this, our MC is an openly gay, lesbian, or transgender host.
Why is that? That's very interesting.
So this is something that we actually had to do a lot of work on to find the right people. But the reason we did that is that we wanted to demonstrate from the very first minute of the event, this would be theirs. They would be opening the event. They'll be carrying the whole thing, is that everyone is visible, everyone is being seen, everyone is being heard.
Awesome.
Okay?
I love
When you
that.
hit an audience, right, openly with representation of people who are often not represented, then it openly opens for the audience that, you know what? Everybody is welcome here because I'm being welcomed by somebody that doesn't get to do that to the other events I go to. And then also, when you look at our agenda, you'll see this for every city. Less than half our speakers are men.
Wow.
But that's because if you can't see yourself represented on stage, how are you supposed to trust the expert to change your life?
Right. Right.
So we took our digital company and we turned it into events so that people could just connect with it one-on-one and see that, wait, this is actually possible. I actually talked to that doctor or that best-selling author, and I could actually do 3 of the things that they're saying. You know what? I'll try one.
I love it. I love it. Wow, Saurabh, this is incredible. This is incredible. It's very interesting. I love just the marriage of psychology and neurology and science and data and tech and fascinating.
Thank you. I mean, I've had such a fortunate career, right?
Wow.
You did it in my intro, all those hundreds of millions of dollars I helped these brands make, the 2 Emmy nominations, but nothing has mattered the way of what we're doing now. We're in an incredible opportunity to serve people at a scale that just we couldn't have done before.
Why does this matter so much to you?
Okay, so to me personally, the reason it matters is that I actually did not figure my life out until I was 30. So this is going to be a little embarrassing, but I actually just did what everyone expected. I was like the model son. I was the
Aww.
model employee. I was the top sales guy. I was the tech genius. I was the ultimate boyfriend, you know? Like I was just all these things because people expected it from me. And as a storyteller, I always told the best story in how I lived
Mm.
my life. And then when I really started to realize who I am and that I actually really just enjoy understanding people, and more importantly, that I love it when people understand themselves. That was the switch for me. Now, to be honest, that's when my storytelling career took off as well, in a
Uh-huh.
way, because the creativity and my ability to find storytellers that were brave enough to represent the authentic audience, that frankly made me a lot of money. Okay.
Wow.
And and it made the brands I worked at very, very successful because the content, the stories all look different. We represented people that you'd never seen represented before.
Right. Right.
Right. And then that fed it. That fed the beast, Angela. And I was like, wait, having people understand themselves better is incredibly rewarding.
Yes.
So could I do this all the time? And then my conundrum was like, but I'm a tech guy. And then, like I told you, like 18 months ago with the Apple Watch and healthcare, I was like, wait, the tech could do it.
Yeah. Ah, wow. I love this. And that is such an incredible story and so in line with what I personally want to always create, as a filmmaker is, to tell socially conscious stories and to have people represented from all walks and ways of life. And you found a way to do this through tech. And I just think that is incredible. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for being here today. My God, anything else that you want to tell us about this event, about the tech in particular? I feel like we talked. You gave us so much interesting information. I don't even know where to pull from right now. But anything that you really want our audience to walk away with?
There is one thing. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, right, to say this because, yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, Angela, right back at you. Look at your career. Look at all the amazing things you've done, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to pick just like one thing, but everything we're talking about is available to everyone through mindconferences.com
Okay.
because even though the events happen in the major cities around the U.S., everything's recorded and made available online, so you never have to feel like you're missing out. And this is one of the stipulations of the psychologists and neuroscientists that we're working with is you will make the content available, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, we love you.
Oh,
Like you
that's
actually,
perfect.
yeah, you want people to get it for free. We will do that. So So mindconferences.com, I think, is the easiest way for people to realize, like, wait, how can I get this? If they want to try the technology, they want their own, emotional assessment and personalized AI, then it's available on the website, like you said, intentwave.com. And I want to end with maybe just sort of an admission.
Please.
Because you've kind of built this to be like, oh, this guy knows all this stuff about tech. Yeah, the truth is, my entire life, I've never really had any serious talent or power. Even though I know you described it differently, I'll admit to you, when I quit Wall Street and saved my money and went to film school in LA, I was the only person in my film school class who showed up wanting to be a producer. Nobody wants to be a producer. Everybody shows up saying, I'm going to write the next amazing script. I am the next actor, right? I am the director. I have cinematography chops. Guys, when you're all done, come to me, I'll edit. I didn't have any of that, Angela. I didn't have that creative talent. I showed up as the guy who wants to make movies. I'll help you make movies. And so I worked with all these amazing people. And that is really what I just wanted to end with, is that I've never really seen myself as an individual. And I think this is why we built the tech that we've built. Scientifically speaking, you and I, we're just a collection of everyone that came before us, everything that's happened to us, and everything that's happening around us, right?
Yep.
So when we're gone, the best thing I think we could hope for is that we would also continue to be part of everyone else, everyone that we love, or everyone we were able to help. Right? And I just feel like if we could do that on a daily basis, like, wouldn't life just be better?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So beautiful. That was beautiful, Saurabh. That was beautiful. Indie Film Tribe, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. For more information and to find out more about Saurabh's work, please do visit mindconferences.com, and you can also go to intentwave.com. Thank you, Indie Film Tribe, for, again, hanging out, and thank you, Saurabh, so much for being here. Until next time, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, guys. So if anyone is interested to attend the Mind Conference, again, it's happening in Los Angeles, March 23rd. You can get 50% off if you just visit mindconferences.com. That's mindconferences.com. And to get the 50% off, the special code is Film Tribe, just Film Tribe, and it's going to be held at UCLA, mindconferences.com for 50% off. The special code is Film Tribe.